In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Investing Guide. You can hear about the activities of companies such as Tesla and SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk, almost every day. But one project you don't hear about much is Neuralink, which is set to enable the connection of the human brain and artificial intelligence in the future, directly linking thoughts to a phone via Bluetooth. It's not cyberpunk, it's Neuralink, and it's coming to fruition quicker than most people think. And they've already begun testing on animals, with success. In short, it's said to be based on an electronic device implanted into the brain. Musk said on Twitter that the machine will likely perform the chip mounting operation as efficiently as LASIK laser vision correction does. What could possibly go wrong? Well, make sure to stay until the end, as you don't want to miss the government scrutiny that Neuralink is facing and security implications. While there was some criticism from experts about the time perspective of starting human testing, once the chip has been implanted, the observation of its functionality over a long time is crucial. So, what they really mean is that once a patient has been microchipped, the device will stay with them for the rest of their life. The method of installing the implant chosen by Neuralink is pretty invasive too. Bin He is a lead biomedical engineer at Carnegie Mellon University, and indicated a high risk of damage to the brain associated with the insertion of wires into it, regardless of their size. Back in 2019, Dr. Riley Green of Imperial College of London said the idea of having brain surgery on a healthy person's brain was worrying. The government experts asserted that surgery to insert a device into the brain is extremely risky. Any brain operations are a necessity, and they're done to improve the patient's health. They went further than this and criticized Neuralink as doing it for fun is not a wise idea. Of course, using thread-like wires will lower the risk. Nevertheless, the company is struggling with a few vital elements. There's the problem of finding an appropriate coating. What about the longevity of the electrodes in your brain? Once they're in, you don't want to replace them every 10 years or so. The above are kind of technical issues. What about the more sci-fi stuff, like taking control over people's minds? The Fast Company magazine wrote about the ethical side of creating cyborg nations. Concerns about losing control over your emotions and thoughts were discussed at the European Festival of Innovation. Suppose powerful institutions grow into monoliths of AI. In that case, there will be a risk of creating armies of bionic people with superhuman abilities and heightened senses that regular people won't be able to compete with. Because if this happens, I'm sure there will be people who want to get their hands on this kind of advancement. People have expressed concerns that by developing the AI and discipline of cyborgs, corporations neglect aspects of humanity such as compassion, creativity, and spirituality. There will be little regard for holistic thinking, taking into account how they change people. The problem is that there should be a balance between scientific investment in the development of artificial intelligence, but also ordinary human consciousness to better understand it and care for it. Could a microchipped brain have thoughts that you don't have because it has functions that you just don't have access to? With body enhancement and playing with brain or mind expansion, we could also increase the number of thoughts. So if creativity relates to thoughts and ideas born in your brain, if you have a higher thought throughput, you're likely to be more ingenious than someone with a lower thought bandwidth, right? Surf, a neurobiologist and former hacker, pointed out the problem of neural inequality. Fancy words here, but we're going to explain it. When someone has access to the chip implanted in their brain, it will allow them to think faster and analyze information more effectively. A technologically enhanced brain will also be able to vastly outperform in a way that is inaccessible to the ordinary mind. An average Joe just won't be able to afford an implant of this kind though. Apparently his colleague was born without a left arm and now has a bionic prosthesis. It is capable of doing way beyond the things of the human body. He can turn his hand by 360 degrees. Glad he can't do that with his head, as that would be pretty freaky. Here comes the issue of the democratization of technological advancements and their dissemination to everyone, not just the select few. Sabatini, the chief data scientist of Orion's Biosciences, says that it may be a significant ethical challenge. Although the world of Elon Musk's fans and all his inventions have gone mad for the coin-sized microchip idea, experts are more skeptical. Computer scientists note the very idea of connecting software directly to the brain is terrifying, mainly when you consider naturally occurring software bugs or its vulnerability to hacking. Pause and think for a sec. This question of data sharing will surely complicate the cybersecurity situation for Neuralink and the project. Suppose a third-party application is granted access to back-end brain data. In that case, it may become tricky to track precisely what information is staying on your device and what is being transmitted to the app's vendor. How safe is your data in the cloud? Once your data interacts with online services and sites hosted by typical providers, it becomes an object of potential attack. It will be vulnerable to any kind of standard form of cyber attack. Plus, we know that the techniques used by hackers are developing in tandem with other technology. The government speculate that a solid and reliable web host provider needs come first, and then we can start thinking about implanting anything in our heads. You hear about various data breaches in multi-billion-dollar companies that likely store your data too. You may have heard what happened recently with EasyJet. Hackers are pretty crafty and keep finding new ways to infiltrate online servers and extract information from a back-end database. Suppose Neuralink gave in to an attack like this. There'll be no holding back. Compromised security will be significant, and it will be a huge step backwards for brain-based technology, and research likely ceased or slowed down. There's also the vulnerability of wireless technology. Bluetooth is considered to be a pretty secure protocol because of its pairing system and short-range receivers, but nothing is ever perfect. Some Trojan viruses can be spread via Bluetooth and be used to steal data from Android devices. Whilst it's not a given, it is undoubtedly a security implication, as Neuralink may be susceptible to malware spread through Bluetooth. The thing about devices with Bluetooth connectivity is that they transmit a signal to any receiver they can find in the area. You may say that there's a virtual private network, VPN technology, and yes, it's proven effective as a privacy tool for traditional internet connections. But Neuralink is virgin technology. In theory, wireless transmissions could be captured to pinpoint your whereabouts throughout the day. Some governmental cybersecurity experts are apprehensive of how the brain interface technology might be used for surveillance programs if it falls into the wrong hands. Where I end and a computer begins. In the future, it is likely that your smartphone won't be separated from you at all. It may be embedded in your body or brain, scanning your biometric data and emotions. Forecast of a specialist in new technologies? Sort of. Yuval Harari is a historian covering humanity's development who said these words at the Fast Company European Innovation Festival in 2019. Don't you think that if we told our Stone Age ancestors about our daily lives, they would think we were godlike? But the truth is, although we have more sophisticated instruments, we are the same animals. We've got the same emotions, the same minds. The coming revolution is going to change that. Neuralink is currently working on two pieces of new technology. The first is a small coin-sized chip that is placed directly inside the human skull. It will be connected to your brain with a tiny bundle of wires that will be 20 times thinner than a human hair to help ensure there's no tissue damage. The electrodes mounted inside the wires are meant to monitor the brain's activity and, at least in theory, stimulate its works. That's how the collected information will be wirelessly sent via a chip to a computer, where it will then be analyzed. Simple, right? The second element of the technology is a surgical robot that will insert the chip into the patient's head. By inserting, we mean that the robot is performing brain surgery. The robot will be essentially like a giant sewing machine. It will use a needle to insert wires into the brain, converging on a chip mounted inside the skull. In January 2021, Neuralink posted a video on the internet showing how the machine works. What is needed is the development of science and undoubtedly hands to work and open-minded people full of innovative ideas. Musk admitted that his presentation was also supposed to A. erase any doubts, and B. encourage brilliant minds to join the startup. How can Neuralink get around this existing problem? Will human trials be successful with the technology that we currently have, and will the FDA grant Musk's startup the appropriate permits? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're here, go ahead and click on one of these two videos on your screen. See you there!